with a win over G2 here today, they could potentially do just that.
Yeah, and they love Lyra, and when they don't get Lyra, they've taken Finn. So they played Finn twice yesterday. 2-0'd they played against, I believe, Mouse Sports, and they had Gwen in both matches. So Gwen is going to be a priority for Fnatic. She is one of the best weapon power laners right now. So let's see if G2 is going to take it away or ban it. And I feel like that's going to definitely come out in the ban phase here.
Well, let's see what they decide to go with. Already getting rid of the Lance is G2, and they are starting off on that A side.
Yeah, so they're going to ban Lance here, and Fortress will be banned by Fnatic, most likely. That's what they tend to ban in the first phase, unless they just want to get rid of a carry that they don't want G2 on, like Adagio on Hundo or Baron, etc. But, oh, they're going to take away the Finn. So Lyra is now open for both teams, and I feel like G2 does not want to give Fnatic Lyra, so they will probably take Lyra away. And Fnatic is now going to opt with Adagio or Gwen. They probably will pick up the Gwen right away because they don't want it to be banned against them. They want to run that Gwen with the burst damage. They're really comfortable with Gwen. So I feel like Gwen will be picked here, and then they're going to ban away an assassin or something that really counters Gwen, like Glaive, etc. Makes a lot of sense here. So let's see what Fnatic decides.
Yeah, Fnatic is also one of the teams that has played a lot of Samuel and played extremely well. So that could now be potentially in the bans. I would expect it more from G2 than from Fnatic. But Fnatic might also, they've banned it away as well, just to make sure that that Lyra-Samuel combo doesn't go over.
Yeah, so Assassin looks most likely here. Glaive, Koshka, Taka potentially will be banned here, I feel. Or unless they want to ban Vox. They're actually going to ban Samuel. Okay, so they do not want to play their Gwen-Samuel composition that they're known for. So Fnatic is changing things up against G2. So G2 is going to have to really think about their draft now and take the time here to decide what is a good second phase ban. Kestrel would make sense. I feel like they don't want to play against a Kestrel into a Lyra. So I feel like they probably will take away... Oh, they decided to take Koshka. Interesting bans here so far. Fnatic, CP Kestrel is open, however, Taka is also open, so it's a risky play to get a CP Kestrel into a Taka. So I feel like Glaive, Taka, Kestrel are all the three priority picks here that I feel Fnatic may be taking.
Still digging into a little bit of the bonus time here for Fnatic, have plenty of it. So they're just looking to see what their next pick is going to be.
Yeah, Pedo too, actually. Actually played Pedo today and they succeeded, so Pedo may work. However, Pedo is more of a sustain hero, and into Lyra, who's also a sustain, is going to be a little risky. So they could potentially go with a Pedo here, but I feel like... Okay, so they're going to take the Arden to secure support and save the last counter pick for G2, which is actually pretty smart. So Arden is something that they have not played a lot of from what I've seen. So I'm excited to see how Fnatic's going to leverage this Arden here.
Yeah, with the Arden pickup, they do have a pretty good win rate on it. They've played it a couple of times, a handful, but they've got about a 66% win rate with it thus far. So can actually do quite well. It's going to be interesting to see where they decide to go for their final pick. You have to assume it's going to be a jungle pickup for Palmatoro. G2 Esports, though, with just the Lyra, still have plenty of options. We could see the Ringo, we could see the Vox come out.
Yeah, G2 could potentially play Vox with Alpha. I don't think they'll pick Baron here. If they do, it's really risky because Arden Taka is going to completely shut that down. Glaive is also a very good pick here. So they will actually go with Ringo, but again, Taka is open, Glaive is open. I feel like they will most likely go with Kestrel, Glaive would make sense here, or even taking a Taka away from Fnatic, because Assassin would really be tough into this competition. But I feel they have Lyra, so they're confident that they can handle a Taka with the Lyra. But Arden is tough to play into a good Lyra that uses the Bulwark. And Grumpjaw comes out. I love that. I love that surprise here, because Grumpjaw is actually extremely strong. We've seen it win every game yesterday.
Yeah, we've talked about how strong Grumpjaw is. It still feels like a surprise, even though we know how strong it is, just because so many teams have not actually made the jump into playing the Grumpjaw. This will be Fnatic's first Grumpjaw game, and so it's a strong pick. It works. I played it yesterday in ranked. I don't play much Grumpjaw in general. It was like the second time I played Grumpjaw outside of a Blitz game, and like I was sitting there with Suijay, and I was just like, this is just so strong.
I wanted to say something, but I knew that they were going to pick Skye here, because Skye is actually a good counter against Grumpjaw based on positioning, and she can easily target lock him, get a nice 4 barrage. And this is something that I think TSM plays Sky a lot, and Sky is good against Grumpshot because of her Frostwind slow.
Now, looking at the draft here, how are you guys feeling on each side? Who has the upper hand just draft-wise?
It's tough. They both have actually a very good draft going against each other. The Grumpjaw Ringo Lyra is a very strong composition in and of itself, but as Suijay was saying, the Sky can actually be very effective against a Grumpjaw. So those kind of matchups are going to be really integral to watch. I don't think either team necessarily won the draft, so to speak, going into this game.
Yeah, well, I have to see. I mean, the other thing we saw yesterday when Grumpjaw was being played, I mean, there were teams that countered the Grumpjaw, or at least in theory, they had the heroes to counter Grumpjaw, but didn't necessarily execute on it. I believe it was a situation with Finn or something where you just didn't see him getting in front of people, and Grumpjaw was still getting those eats off, and then they were comboing well. So we'll see if they actually use their picks on the side of Fnatic to counter that Grumpjaw. But G2 has it, guys. I mean, how are we feeling coming into this? What are we feeling prediction-wise?
It's going to come down to execution. They both had pretty decent drafts. I feel like Fnatic was going to excel with the Gwen, though. And however, I haven't seen the Sky play from them too much. So I think Fnatic is going to take this away, but G2 is really proficient on Grumpjaw. Tyrese and Grumpjaw is amazing. So it's pretty even for me, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, going to be really interested to see how Palmator performs on the Sky. That is a big unknown factor going into this game, but I like CP Grumpjaw. I think that's going to be enough for them to get the win.
You're thinking G2 then. All right, well, we'll see what happens. It's game 1 of G2 versus Fnatic. Let's give it over to Humanist and Jinyi.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1 in this best-of-3 series between G2 and Fnatic. This is going to be a great matchup. Shingy, we were talking about it before this one started. Like, this easily goes to the 3 games in this series, and we expect it to be close.
Oh, I'm expecting this to be close. I expect nothing less from these teams. Both teams have just been improving week in, week out. Especially Fnatic, actually, especially after that boot camp. They were unstoppable that weekend. They still look really on form for this week as well. And this is one of these games I would not be surprised if it went to a 3-game series, and a very tense one at that as well.
I believe it. Right now, it's going to be starting off with Techno just trying to farm up here and lane on this Quinn. As G2 apply a little pressure, but a quick clear in the jungle from Net and Palma means that Palma can go ahead and rotate up, threaten damage to come out onto G2, and that forces G2 down. Palmatoro dropping as well. It's going to keep eyes on this Elder Chant. It looks like G2 as a group may want to go ahead and take this down. Potentially Palma could try to secure this with like forward barrage from range. And it's not going to be nice body blocking there, and smart plays out of G2.
Yeah, they're not going to get a tree end, but actually it's 74 gold, like 100 gold going towards them, as long as Palmator is able to secure his backs, and I think that's the big thing here. It's interesting that we do see a Sky. Suijay was saying Sky is a really good counter against this CP Grumpjaw. However, I feel like Sky, just as a hero in the games, just doesn't have the impact that we used to see from her. And I feel like she's had a number of changes to her kit as well. And it's interesting to see how it play out. Like, is the counter to Grumpjaw like enough for this, or would they have been better picking a hero that had just been a little bit more stronger in this meta?
I'm going to go on record and say yes. I think it's strong enough. I do think while CP Sky, you talked about the kit was changed, it wasn't as impactful as it was in the past. I think she's still in a good place to actually have significant impact in the game. And if we go back in time, take a little trip back in time with me, Shingy, think about old secret playstyle. Like, they were drafting Sky all the time, and it was for K-Volafor or Palmatoro. And they both played it to an incredibly high level. I'm actually very excited to see Palma playing this guy here.
I'm very excited to see, like, there's a lot of things that you can do with that mobility, especially under Grumpjaw. The only issue is with Keanu on that Lyre, that bulwark could make things very difficult. And I think that's where you want to be seeing G2 like just taking in this play style, is that every time they do see Palmatoro trying to use a sewer strike, you can trap him in with the bulwark, and that's the way that they can get onto Palmatoro. Looks like a 3-for-3 in the jungle, in the lane right now, actually.
Yeah, Dark Potato's kind of on the front line, for his team there. Forward barrage, not target locked, but connecting, doing a little bit of damage. As G2 moving forward as a unit, boosted it up with that sigil, using that move speed to get in there, get some nice damage on the Palmatoro Hundor. Some nice basics, and Palmatoro can only just throw this forward barrage from range at the moment. He doesn't have the ability to get in there, get a target lock, and just stick to somebody. The moment that does start to happen, he's going to start melting targets. Let's see if he can get this mid. No, it will be going the way of Dark Potato, I believe. Yeah, he secured that one.
Really good job, like really good try from Palmatoro to try and just get that off them. So far, he's falling a little bit behind Dark Potato in terms of CS, not too much, about 3. And in the lane, it's pretty much identical so far. If you look at the gold, there's only 300 between the two teams right now, and we do see Techno JJ going for that tension bow on the Gwen first, which has actually, we've been seeing a lot of that over the past few weeks. That tension bow Gwen is a power spec that you can play around. It does a lot, it synergizes really well with her boomstick.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's like having a double tension bow proc there. And you know, once you get that tension, once you finish off, it's a great opportunity for them to engage. Thing is for G2 right now is that Keanu on that lyre, there's a little bit more sustain on their side. Palmatoro there, getting a bit of damage there onto him.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like Keanu, he can sustain his team up, but at the same time, like a nice Vanguard from Net can just dissuade all of the damage in the first place, in which you don't even need the sustain coming from the healing. Currently, G2 going to move in. They're going to try and take the mid away one more time. Palma, not able to secure that one. Goes the way of Hundor. Hundor, Keanu, they're going to move their way up into the lane here. Tetno and Net very aware of the rotations as they're happening. And you know, one thing I wanted to mention, this is, we haven't seen tons of Gwen, but Fnatic is one of the teams that's been playing the Gwen. I think Fnatic have been playing to like the overall like world meta more than a lot of other people. You could say North America meta, East Asia meta, but like the Gwen is a priority pick for so many teams. A lot of damage traded out. Oh, Dark Potato, he's stuffed up. He's got this guy repositions and rest in peace. No rest in peace. It's a Suri strike. Oh, Palmer, that's how you want to be using this guy, and that's why it's so good. You know, there's so many reasons of what Sky can do, especially when this Frostburn comes online, just slowing the Grumpjaw down as he's moving at you. But Suri striking like that reposition is beautiful. G2 taking advantage of this moment, though, just burning through this turret. Tier 1 turret's going to go down, so they don't get the kill, but they do get the turret, and that's definitely a win.
Oh, very quick turret there. So yeah, they forced Palmatoro back. So even though Palmatoro was able to escape, they did actually lose a turret off the back of that. And you know, we saw the stuff being used really nicely by Dark Potato to pick up Palmatoro and just, you know, drop in the middle. I think what would be nice to see would have been that bulwark coming out a little bit later, just to stop him from using the Suri strike, and that effectively keeps him trapped in.
Yeah.
But that, you know, we saw, I think, I can't remember what game it was yet. I feel like it was G2 yesterday that we did see this Lyra Grumpjaw combination, and they had so many nice combos that came off with it. You know, you had the portal, taking the Grumpjaw, so the Grumpjaw could take the enemy hero as far away as possible. We saw the bulwark. It was
such
really
a troll
funny.
combo. I love it.
It was really funny though, and it worked so well every single time. So I'm expecting those kind of combinations coming out today. I feel like the first stuff of the day didn't quite hit the mark there, but I'm sure they're going to learn from that. And Palmatoro, he knows he's going to be the target here.
You know, we were talking also like in the break about kind of like breakout players that, you know, have been around the scene but haven't really made the name for themselves, such as, you know, Hundor. Firm believer in Hundor now. I think Tricky, Justman, all these guys that are kind of showing up. I'm the Doom, really making a name for themselves. One guy that's made a name for himself but then kind of quieted down for a few seasons, Dark Potato. And I think he showed up this season incredibly well. Like, Dark Potato has impressed me almost more than anybody, like, this season.
If you think, it's so funny to think about it. If you think about Dark Potato, he's like the OG G2 member. Like, he's been around since they first got picked up. Never mind, Dark Potato just used stuff there.
Talk about getting paid. Oh, they're gonna miss the combo. They tried to make the combo, but it's a first blood for Fnatic. They're looking for more. How about a double kill? Let's lock it in. Tetno throws out the aces high. Just because, no, he meant to obviously land that, but it's going to be off the mark. 2 kills for Fnatic as G2 fail a combo there, a bit forced, right as we were singing their praises.
I think a part of the issue was they picked up Nettola. I'm not sure Nettola is the one that you want to be picking up. Like, depositing him in the middle, you just perfect positioning there for Nettola. You want to be picking up Techno JJ, or you want to be picking up Palmatoro. Palmatoro doesn't have that reflex block, but he does have that Suri strike, and you can prevent him from using that Suri strike with the bright bulwark, and that just completely missed for them. So not much luck with the combos here for G2 today, and it's, you know, Fnatic, they're picking up the kills slowly but surely. They may have lost a tower, but the team fights they're coming through on them.
Yeah, I do think like I'm just trying to think about how this is gonna you know, break down in these fights here, because like it feels like it's going to become very hard for G2 to execute once Sky really comes online. Like, I'm assuming it's going to be Broken Myth next item for Palma. Could be wrong. Once that, whatever that, if it's Broken Myth second item, I think he'll be online to be a significant threat to G2. If not, then he's going to be much harder to kill, like if it's an Eve of Harvest. But then the third item, Broken Myth, like it's going to be so hard for G2 to engage.
I feel like he should be going for that Broken Myth. I feel like that's a better item. It's quite easy for him to build up the stacks because Grumpjaw, he's quite a slow hero. It's easy to build up the breaking point stacks, and you've got such high mobility as Sky. So I think that's a good option for him to go in Eve of Harvest. It does also make sense. There's a lot of paths that he could go down. Personally, I like to see the Broken Myth, though.
I'd really like to see that Broken Myth out next as well. Right now, G2 moving forward. It's going to be a grumpy Dark Potato. 331 damage connecting there. Storm Crown completed. He's got his tier 2 boots up and running. Looks like, you know, and was Dark Potato the Grumpjaw that had built Shatter? I believe he was the Grumpjaw that built Shatterglass. And we've seen like the Aftershock Grumpjaw combo, but I think he was the first one I saw do the Shatterglass, and it worked very well. Like the first ability, Grumpy, was connecting for like 500, 600 damage once he was built up. It's really a lot of burst.
Yeah, so I think specifically for the composition that Fnatic are doing, I think the Shatterglass would work really well because the Aftershock, you know, it does like a percentage of your health. Gwen and Sky, they're not exactly the most tankiest heroes, so like just by going for the Shatterglass, just going for like a really high output damage from your skills, I think that'll work out a lot better as opposed to the Aftershock, because I think that would work really well for this one. But it looks like he could be going for Aftershock. It looks like he could go with Shatterglass. It's difficult to say at this point in time.
It is. It's tough to say. I think Dark Potato did that just so we could have the conversation about it. He's just really a good guy overall, trying to give our casters a little content to break down here. In the meantime, we might have a fight breaking out rather soon. Buckshot will connect on to 3, forward barrage from range. Now you see, this is what Palma's doing very well, that a lot of other Skies, I think, kind of had trouble with. His patience. Watch, I'm going to praise Palma. He's about to get wrecked.
Careful.
He's about to get... Flare over the top side. Dark Potato, he's grumpy. He's moving in. He's stuffed up. He's going to take the Arcane Passage back. That's the combo. Sorry, strike over the top, though. And this forward barrage connecting. Fountain out of G2. G2 retreating now currently. And mid's trying to find a root there. They'll root up net, but Techno will go ahead and kill that off, cancel it for his team. Fnatic able to clean up their jungle, and nobody dies through that engagement.
That was brilliant engage though, using the Arcane Passage to escape over the wall with Palmatoro. But again, Palmatoro with the Suri Strike, he is able to escape. You know, I feel like the kind of go over the wall, stop Sky from moving, only really works with the Lyra and the Grumpjaw together. But it was a really nice move just taking Palmatoro away from the fight. But the thing is, if you can go for the portal, so can Techno, JJ, and Netflix, and that's what they did. They moved the fight so that there was a 3v1 situation against Grumpjaw.
It's really fun to watch. G2 obviously landing some combos, and they're not able to take advantage of them just yet. You can see that they know what they're doing. This is clearly very practiced on their end, and Fnatic reacting to it very well. So, like we said before, two of the top teams from Europe here battling it out. We'd expect no less.
Absolutely. All the teams are poking really well. They're having these nice little skirmishes back and forth so far. I mean, we do see G2 with a small like 4k gold lead, and they're going for the gold mine as well. Fnatic probably are definitely not going to steal that, so that we're going to see that gold lead increase a little bit more. If we're going to look at the builds wise, Hundor has a lot of damage already. He's got the Tornado Trigger Tyrants and the Sora Blade as well, and Techno JJ. So he does have that tension on the Sora Blade, but if you know in a 1v1 situation, that Ringo is going to win because just by pure numbers, he's got more damage.
He does. Yeah, it depends though, like how the fight, because Techno going probably breaking point next, right? So if he's able to stack up on a target then switch to Ringo, maybe it's not going to be the same case. But right now, Hundor's upfront damage is pretty insane. And I really like the way they're building Techno with the infusion. He's ready to go right now, though.
Yeah, he is. I think he's the only one with the infusion there available. So it's interesting to see because Palmatoro, he doesn't actually have a reflex block yet. So that's why Dark Potato's going for him every single time. And it's a really nice bait because he knows he's able to escape. He's escaped for it every single time so far. And these fights, we keep seeing G2 trying time and time again to find these openings. And Fnatic just aren't letting them. I feel like we've reached a really kind of stagnant point off the game so far. Both teams trying to just kind of test each other out with what they're doing. And nothing's really coming from it. G2, they're being a little bit more aggressive. Looks like they're going to make another move onto Fnatic.
Another move being made. Death from above is going to come down. Stuns up Keanu. Dark Potato moves in. He's stuffed up. He's able to grab Tetno that time. But the gauntlet comes down. Stuns him right out of it. Fnatic are in very good position here. Aces high blocked off. Fnatic moving forward. A nice Uri strike into the forward barrage. Hundor gets healed up. Boosted into a better position though. And will they be able to get out of this one? Palma probably connects with a forward barrage here from max distance. That Frostburn should be able to slow them up enough. Do they want to go for this? It's going to be Grumpy. He moves back in. Palma getting chunked down. Suri strikes in a better position, trying to get out. The fountain comes out from Fnatic. They turn it around. They take down Dark Potato. Can they get out net on a sliver of health? Hundor very low as well. Keanu drops that heal. Both of these teams just trading back and forth so incredibly well. And look how Fnatic was able to spread that damage output onto all of their entire team. And if one person takes all that damage, they're dead. But Fnatic just juggle that damage so well.
They really did juggle the damage so well. I think that the gauntlet coming up from Nettolet so defensively, allowing Techno JJ just to go back within the safety of his team, was really nicely done by Nettolet. It wasn't one about trying to stun the members of G2. It was about keeping Techno JJ safe, and he did that. They would hold on to the fountain for a very long time, and they forced an early fountain out from Keanu, which left him in a better position to pick up the kill there onto Dark Potato at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Net used his fountain about 12-13 seconds after Keanu had used his fountain, and that was just a significant advantage when it came down to it. When you realize that you have your fountain still and you're trading slightly evenly with your opponent, it's just kind of a go signal. And while they're behind in net worth, Fnatic's still able to find kills through these fights. Now, they're not taking objectives off the back of it. It's G2 taking objectives. They get another decent gold payout here, build that net worth a little bit more. But at the same time, it's like, what is this going to give G2 here? Is this enough of a lead?
I would say it's actually enough of a lead because they have control over the lane right now. They're definitely being quite aggressive in their movements across the jungle. We're seeing them sitting in Fnatic's jungle quite a bit, which is, is really good move by G2. Unfortunately, they need to be winning those team fights. They're trying to pull off these combos that they were doing yesterday, but they're just not quite working out because of the mobility that we're seeing coming out from Palmator and the mobility coming out from Techno JJ. We just really want to be seeing that wombo combo coming out, and so far, like, the damage I feel is there. We saw how much damage Dark Potato did with his Grumpy onto Palmator when he got a clear shot at it. Looks like we might be seeing a bait here with the Kraken.
For me, my perspective is, well, hold that. Nobody cares about that anyway. Hellfiber is going to connect on 3. Bright Bull works down. Death from above should cancel this off. Net defensive gauntlet there. And, I mean, I can see what he's doing. Nobody's going to be stunned up, though. Very defensive, defense. It's just a straight disengage out of G2, I guess, as they realize they don't want to really get in there too deep. And they're going to go for Kraken, because, hey, why not? Look how fast they take this down.
They're going to go for the Kraken. That is not good news for Fnatic. And that team fight was one where they managed to force all three members of Fnatic back. I feel like they have quite a good potential to clear that Kraken away, especially with that Sky there. But either way, I'm expecting another team fight. G2 clearly going to be looking for another ace off this. It's interesting because Techno JJ, he's had that aces high for a while, but I'm not really seeing him use it. And that's a great stun that can be used to caught your opponents by surprise.
I saw him miss it earlier, and then I saw it be blocked off. So maybe he's having a hard time connecting onto target here. Whatever the case is, Palma's getting very close to Eva Harvest, and I think that's going to push him over the top as far as the impact we're looking for Sky in this fight. But currently, Kraken marching forward with G2 is going to be on this choke point turret, start doing a lot of damage. Actually, well, is that the stuffed? Yeah, the stuffed's not going to connect to there. This is very good for Fnatic, as they are getting this Kraken nice and low, down about 50% health. Death from above should be zoning G2, and I really don't think G2 want to move in much further than this. It feels a little throwy from G2, I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
But maybe they're going to turn this around. Nettolet with the Atlas Pauldron onto 3. Well, actually, Hundor, it didn't connect on Hundor. Hundor turned around Techno, taking a lot of damage. Hundor's in there. Oh, this is the play, G2. Oh, I bow down to you, your greatness, G2. The legends, how dare I ever question you? They knew the play, turn it around, bait you right in. Felt like a throw, but they knew what they were doing. Ultimately, coming in, claiming the ace. Getting the win 17 minutes in, just slowly but surely. We have 4 kills in 17 minutes, but it felt like G2 was constantly doing something.
They constantly were. I definitely agree with you there. It wasn't about trying to pick up those aces, it's about slowly getting the objectives. If they were able to get enough damage there onto Fnatic and force him back, they were able to get the gold mine repeatedly. I think we saw them take at least 3 gold mines during that. They got the Kraken, they got numerous turrets with every single push that they got. Yes, Fnatic are winning the team fight, but that doesn't mean anything at the very end of it. I personally feel that the Gwen wasn't really doing too much for me. I feel like Gwen wasn't really connecting any basic attacks onto the members of G2, and if they were just getting healed up by Lyra. She was so good for that extra sustain, that extra mile that they needed in those team fights. And just the burst wasn't really there for me from Fnatic near the end.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. It did feel like Techno was struggling to have an impact on this win. Ultimately, had 50 CS less than Hundor at the end of that game there. Hundor just farmed like a beast. He found the damage through these fights, but we expected it to be a really good matchup. It's going to be a good series. But to break down game number 1, we do have our boys back at the analyst desk. So guys, take it away.
Alrighty, thank you, Humanist. There is game number 1. G2 taking that one. I mean, to me, just initial thoughts, it seemed like Fnatic really was on the back foot the whole time here.
Yeah, Fnatic was playing very reactive and not proactive. G2 was more proactive. Even though Fnatic got more kills, G2 was the one pushing objectives, getting more farm, ahead of the gold lead. For example, once Fnatic had Tension Bow Swordblade on Gwen, they needed to infuse and then make a play with that. And they were not engaging. Like, Gauntlet engage, man. Like, if Grumpjaw eats you, you're safe, because when he touches the Gauntlet, gets stunned, he's going to drop you out. And you can see why Sky is really good against Grumpjaw. He wants to jump in, face forward, and just attack you. And Sky can just literally Suri Strike and just 4 barrage and out DPS the Grumpjaw. Like, Sky beats Grumpjaw in a skill matchup. And Fnatic just didn't play to their power spikes.
Well, let's take a look at a replay of a team fight here about 15 minutes or so into the game. Break this one down for us here.
Yeah, nothing happens in this fight, but you can see G2 being decisive, engaging, getting them very low. Fnatic has to use a fountain. No actives are used even on G2 side, and they know they won. And this sets them up for the Kraken and an eventual the game. And this is where G2 is much more decisive. They have a strategy, and Fnatic is like twiddling their thumbs and being super timid.
Interesting. Now, I mean, would you just want them, to be a more proactive team moving forward? Do you think that's the way they get back into this game, is just being more decisive, going in with a plan and trying to, play more proactively than reactively?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a situation where if you're going to be giving up so much like they were without going for fights, like that's the things that G2 would be wanting to get after winning team fights. So you're just giving them these things without having the fights happen. If you lose the fights, yeah, you fall further behind, but you're already losing out on everything that you would have been losing out regardless of if you lost those fights or not. So you have to try and make something happen to prevent your opponents from just pushing into your base without really any opposition.
Yeah, so next game, Fnatic, you guys need to play much more decisive. Understand your win conditions and play to it. Arden got a Gauntlet stun, and they could have did a Death from Above right on top of that Gauntlet stun, but they wasted to get Death from Above. So just some examples here.
Well, we are into the draft here. Fnatic this time is over on the A side. They got some bans out. Fnatic also picking up the Finn here.
Yeah, so Fnatic tends to ban Fortress, and with Lyra taken away, they will prioritize the Finn. G2 likes playing Arden, so potentially, hopefully Aegis comes out here, because Arden Aegis is very strong, and G2 has played that. So they may take Adagio as the second pick here. So they're definitely going to ban the Gwen away from Fnatic, and I think Fnatic is probably going to ban Adagio or something they know that G2 wants to run. So let's see what's going to come out from Fnatic ban. So Baron could also be a ban potentially as well. Samuel, etc. could also be bans here.
So with G2 already having the Arden, it means they have all sorts of options. I mean, so many things work well with Arden. We say that about a lot of the captains, and it's because, well, I mean, it's true about a lot of the captains. Like, you can play so many different compositions into them, because a lot of these abilities that are great for offensive use can also be used defensively.
Yes, so the Baron ban does come out. G2 may opt for Grumpjaw, but they're going to play into a Finn. Will Fnatic be able to understand how to play against a Finn, with a Finn, again, into a Grumpjaw? So G2, Grumpjaw with Arden is actually pretty strong, so they may save that for a last pick. So I feel like they're going to pick like a weapon carrier like Ringo or Vox. That would make sense for them here. Yep, their Vox is going to come out. Fnatic is going to have to go for that Ringo or play a mage in the lane. Celeste, Scarf makes sense. They have a lot of good options for them as well. Kestrel is open. Kestrel is going to be a good pick into the Vox. Ringo is good as well.
Kestrel Finn is also just such a fun and strong combo.
Yeah, so I see them picking that up potentially. They can even go CP Kestrel with a weapon power carry like Ringo, and just play a late game composition with that Finn. So that could work as well. So yep, they're going with Ringo here. So Sky, Kestrel are really good picks here. However, Sky is going to be kind of with Ardent Gauntlet, it's going to limit her mobility a little bit. So they probably want to opt with this guy. I feel like they may go with Koshka, Kestrel are all good picks. Glaive is also a really good pick here as well. If they want to do the Glaive Quibble combo, they have a lot of options here for them.
I wouldn't mind actually seeing well, it's going to be Samuel from Palmatoro. He's been very strong. He was one of the first adapters of the Samuel when not too many other teams were, trying to make it work. Or sorry, a lot of teams were trying to make it work. Fnatic was one of the first teams to make it work and make it work consistently. So Alpha going to be the answer from G2. And this is, again, a little bit of a surprise. They have played a couple of Alpha games. They've done very well with it. Not too many other teams have been doing very well with the Alpha. Alpha, I believe, across all of Europe is sitting at about if I'm not mistaken, around a 30% win rate. If not a little bit higher than that, but it still hasn't been really great. But G2 is 2-0 with it.
2-0 thus far with it. I mean, we'll see if they can make it work here as well. They are up 1-0 in this series, and if they're able to take this one, they'll move themselves into the finals to play Team Secret. So, guys, G2, they have game 1. How are we feeling for game 2?
Based on how G2 is playing, how decisive they are, and they're also very successful on Alpha, like Bacon was saying, I think G2 is going to take this game.
I actually think Fnatic is going to be able to take this one. I like the composition they have. This is comfort picks for a lot of members of Fnatic, especially with that Samuel. I really do like Palmatoro's Samuel quite a bit, and I think with Ringo Samuel, they should be able to shut down the Alpha. Like, Alpha wants to get in your face, and if you're having a Drifting Dart go backwards, like, Samuel's like, cool, come at me. I'll gladly throw Malice and Verdicts directly onto you. So I think that could give them an edge.
All right, well, one says G2, one says Fnatic. We'll see if Fnatic can send it to a Game 3. G2 looking to book their spot against Team Secret in the finals. Let's send it on over to Humanist and Jinye.
Let's go! Guys, we are into game number 2 between Fnatic and G2. Honestly, that was a bit of a slow-paced game number 1. I feel like this is going to be a little bit different here, Shingy.
I hope so. I mean, there's 4 kills over, 18 minutes? It was a very slow, methodical game. It was all about the tactics as opposed to the actual picking up the... it was different. It was
classic EU, one
classic
could say.
EU, yeah. They overthink too much. They're just like, oh, should I not?
They're very smart.
Very smart. They are very smart, exactly. So I think with this Alpha, we're going to be seeing a lot more aggression, especially in the early game. He has the ability to go right into your face, do a lot of damage. And the only peel that we really have on the side of Fnatic is that, I was going to say Quinn, but is that Finn with the Quibble.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm expecting, the Force of Chords will be interesting because you're either going to have to try and get them really aggressively onto Hundo or Keanu, or use them defensively to pull Dark Potato away from his teammates. We're going to see one of 2 ways. They're not going to be easy to land, and I would say go for defensive more than offensive right now with the Force of Chords.
It was kind of interesting. Like, you were talking about how they were kind of methodical, very very much thinking through what they were doing, and like between games, I was sitting there like kind of wondering to myself like what happened with Fnatic in that game, and it felt like in hindsight the Fnatic were overthinking and everything, and I think they just need to unleash their own potential. Sometimes you try to play a really tight team game and your individual performances will suffer, but that's just the balance when you're playing competitively. We'll see if they can do better here.
To think less and just act.
Yeah,
so,
it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing, right?
It is very serious. I mean, right now, so I feel like again we could be seeing a bit of a slow start. I think once we get to the 5 minutes and we do see those item spikes coming out, when we see Palmatoro rotating up, I think that's when we can see some move for pushing down that turret. Samuel's really good at that. Just help to push down the turret in the early game, especially if you've got Ringo there as well.
I do like, honestly, what Fnatic have drafted up here. I think, and especially with Net on this Finn, he does play a very strong Finn. and it's going to be all about Tetno and Palma just kind of like rotating around as you see Net with the charms. I think Net probably drops more charms in game per capita than any other player.
I think he's on par with Wrecked for the charms.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, though, I think Net maybe is going to win that game. But if we had an official stats man, that would be the stat I'd be requesting right now as a professional caster. The real stats.
The real stats, yes. It's all about who throws out the most charms in the games, but we do see Palmator moving up into the lane right now. They're not going to connect, so they're going to back away.
Not going to connect. Yeah, Palma didn't really have an opportunity there, as they were just very close to their own turret. And G2 just want to go ahead and secure up this Elder Treant. Dark Potatoes down here. Keanu drops down. They'll go ahead and secure that up for themselves. And so far, he said it's a slow game, but both teams just kind of farming, getting some levels. When this kicks off, it could really, really go. Dark Potato just kind of slaps Fnatic, walks back, repositions, does not want to commit just yet. But the Alpha, unless you get like a really clean fight, he doesn't really want to go in until he has ult, right?
You really don't want to do it. You could put yourself in a very vulnerable position, especially with, a Finn there. You could be quibbled. There's a lot they can throw at you. They can actually burst you down quite easily. He's going in!
Wow, Prime Directive right in. Core charge on top. Palma kiting back in that Drifting Dark. The Mouse Inverted connecting. Dark Potato dropping low. So is Hundor. And we'll be able to get back out of that one. That got scary real fast.
Well, as you said, maybe he should just wait till he's got his ultimate, and then he can start going in. The Termination Protocol would have worked really well in that situation, but because he didn't, all three members of G2 just dropped down very, very quickly, because Palmator and TechnoJ, they're able to kite backwards and just back away. You don't have that slow, really. It's not too impactful. It just failed to hit the mark there.
Yeah, I did really like to see that kind of just unpredictable aggression out of G2. And Dark Potato, once again, I think that kind of highlights what I was trying to say about him last game, is he's turned up so well this season that he's doing these things, like mechanically executing on a very high level, but also on a mental level, like throwing his opponents off guard just by doing those kind of things.
He's doing just that. I feel like he's really widened his hero pool as well over the past few seasons. I think there was definitely a few seasons where, you could kind of predict what he's going to play. It was either going to be a Cruel or a Taka. I mean, Europe pretty much played those two heroes non-stop. But he's picked up a lot more. He's a lot more aggressive. He knows how to play every single hero to a certain play style. And, the synergy is definitely there for G2 now. I feel like it was lacking last season. But for this one, it feels like they are back. This is the G2 that we're looking for. They are #1 in the leaderboards currently. And he's going in again. Yeah, he's in again with the Prime Directive, the core charge on top. They're going to pop off that ult here. I think he's only level 5 trying to reboot. He has to actually reboot, but not before Hundor drop. Dark Potato will be going down as well. Bit of a misread on that situation there. Again, I think you're right. I feel like we needed to wait for the Termination Protocol because Palmator had that Oblivion available. I think they definitely caught Hundor asleep as well. Nobody really has a reflex block, so they kind of just got stuck in a very hard place there, and they took advantage of that. Dark Potato is not tanky enough to withstand against all three members of Fnatic. No way. He's got that light shield. That's not going to do anything. Yes, you do have your Termination Protocol available. Not your Termination Protocol, sorry. Your Infinite Reboot. Yeah, Infinite. That's the one I brain farted on in the fight. I was like, I had his ultimate popped off there. Not quite. Yeah, he has his Infinite Reboot available, but you still need that defense to withstand through the initial attack anyway. And, he forced this follow-up from the rest of his teammates, and it just fell flat on his face. I feel like they're not playing for their power spikes right now. Yeah, I mean, they also forced it through that right mustache brush, and I don't feel like they had to, but obviously that was their decision. They felt like they could take the fight. Didn't work out for them. Let's see what happens here moving forward, though. Palmator level 7. Using that Drifting Dark, Malice and Verdict connecting onto G2. A significant amount of damage. They were going to have to respect this. About 200, almost 219 damage from the last one that connected there onto Hundor. And Fnatic marches forward. Net getting closer and closer to his Force Accord. That's going to be a big tool for them. Dark Potato is level 6 now, though, so keep your eyes on this Alpha. If he wants to get in there, he'll have Termination Protocol. We also have the Gauntlet available for Keanu Nakoa. And Hundor has his wait for it. So that's a really nice little combo. A huge power spike actually happening here for G2. Yeah, exactly. We have the silence as well. So if they can, I feel like if they can get the stun down, using the Gauntlet or trap them in, they can throw out the silence as well as the Termination Protocol. And that's a big amount of burst that they're throwing at Fnatic that I'm not sure if Fnatic will be able to regain from that. Are they going to get infusions? I don't think we are going to be seeing any early infusions. It's not really a European thing to be going for these early infusions. We see it so much in North America. Is that
Yeah, well, maybe it should be, huh?
maybe it should be? This is what's going to be
Poke,
exciting
poke.
about London. This is what's going to be exciting about London. We're seeing very different metas right now. You know, NA's playing a lot of Gwen. Europe's Gwen's not really that. It's not really doing much. So it's going to be interesting to see how they face up against each other. So far, I feel like NA aggression's just been a little bit too much for Fnatic, not Fnatic, for Europe to overcome. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we will, and I agree with you. It'll be interesting to see the metas kind of collide, clash, and see who adapts and who does better. Gold Miner started up by Fnatic. Dark Potato taking some good damage. It's going to be an offensive call. Gauntlet's down. They're moving in. Oblivion's going to come out, but it puts Dark Potato to sleep out. No termination protocol coming out. Palma just winding up that damage as Techno stands his ground, just railing on G2. Palma trying to kite back. He does not have Drifting Dark, but has Malice Inverted available. Forced to core, grabs two, pulls him in. Quibble on top. Techno goes down, but so will Hundor. And now Keanu Nakoa should be short to follow here. And Palma will go ahead and just let loose that Drifting Dark. They're going to go ahead and get the kill at the end of it. But Fnatic coming out on top, 5-1. 8.5 minutes into this one.
I was seriously questioning that force to core there. I was like, oh, you know, your Techno JJ is looking pretty low. This could go very, very badly, but they were able to regain from that very nicely indeed. I actually feel like there was a really good potential there for G2 just to take the ace in that one. Dark Potato's not going to be able to steal that gold mine off them, unfortunately. But Fnatic, they have a nice 3k gold lead there, sitting in their favor.
So let's talk about target priority for G2. How do you see that breaking down? Like when we get into these fights, who's their main target? How does it happen?
The main target, I feel the main target for them is. I'm trying to weigh this up in my head. Techno JJ and Palmatoro. I feel like Techno JJ is probably easier for them to get onto because every time they're trying to dive onto Palmatoro, he's throwing in Oblivion and it's not being blocked, which is just a major setback in the team fights. And I feel like Techno JJ is just a bit easier to get onto in that regard. But maybe once they do have the reflex blocks, which Hunter does have now, Dark Potato I feel like still needs one. Once he has one, then they can start. They need to focus on Palmatoro, just take him out very, very quickly because he is able to kite back so easily.
All right, so maybe a little bit situational as they get into these fights. I can see argument for both. For me, it does feel like Techno is kind of a high priority target here, especially if you cause any sort of panic as you jump all onto Techno. It's gonna maybe gets Palma out of his Drifting Dark. We'll see though as he's reacting to the positioning of Techno through these fights. Fnatic very clean thus far. Net getting closer to that level 8, and we're gonna have that area of effect stun is gonna be so good against this alpha here. So that's going to be a huge power spike for Fnatic.
Definitely is going to be a huge power spike for them as well. Fnatic know that. I think they just need to bide their time, just farm the jungle up, allow Nettolet to get to that level 8. Because Dark Potato, he's going into range. It's very easy for Nettolet to land those quibbles on him. But never mind, they're going for a fight.
Yeah, deja vu. Dark Potato's in another core charge. He's got to activate Termination Protocol, jump forward with the Prime Directive. It goes off, but it's not enough damage.
Nice.
Net's going to pull them back. 3-man force the core, peeling first team. Techno winds up for Hellfire Brew, regretting his decision instantly. Techno, why do we do the things we do sometimes? I don't know. We can have a conversation about that in London. Palmatoro going down, double kill over here for Dark Potato. And this was double infusion for both teams coming into this fight, so a massive win for G2.
Yeah, and Palmatoro is actually out-leveling Dark Potato. I think the issue... Okay, so Dark Potato, he's got a lot of burst. He's got that aftershock. He's doing a lot of damage when he's jumping in, and he's hitting both Palmatoro and Techno JJ. They do not have any... Did they have any... No, they have no shield, actually. So that's why he's doing a lot of damage. What we saw there in that fight was G2 was focusing a lot of their efforts onto picking down Techno JJ. And he knew that. He had to back away completely out of the fight. The Fountain was forced very early just to keep Techno JJ alive, and Palmatoro and Nettolet are actually reasonably healthy. It was all to keep Techno JJ alive, and it didn't even pay off in the end.
Well, I mean, that comes down to Techno's decision to wind up that Hellfire Brew there. That was quite a bold decision.
He had the minions aggroed on him as well. That was the best bit.
Techno feels a bit off today, I think. I mean, looking at game 1 here, game 2, I just... because, and I say this because I feel like the last few weeks, I mean, this season, Techno's been playing at a very high level. Much better than I've seen him in past seasons, and one of the top laners overall, but it feels like he's a little flat right now. Maybe he's been woken up in these last couple of engagements here. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, it is 5-4. They still have the gold lead. They still have a very slight kill lead. one thing they definitely do is they either need to watch their positioning, stay far back enough that Dark Potato is not able to get to them and allow Netflix to peel, or they need to start prioritizing that Aegis relatively soon.
Let's see what they're gonna do. G2 have been very clean about their engagements as a unit. Like, even when in the fight they lost, they engaged as a team. This last fight, it was deja vu of the fight before. They just played it a little cleaner, but their engage was as a unit, as a team. Very clean, very good job. Hundor is going to block it. Actually, that was a Crucible for that forced core there, of course. Keanu doing a very good job. Malice and Vertex connecting, doing a little splash damage. Gauntlet's down. Prime Directive's in. Wait for it. It's going to silence one, blocked off onto the other two. And Gauntlet doing a good job to zone out. Dark Potato, Termination Protocol, not going to connect onto the carries.
Nice.
A nice three-man quibble. Net trying to back up there, but the Fountain's not enough to keep him alive. G2 take one. Now Tetno looking to come around the backside, maybe to get onto target. As Palma trying to use that Crystal Sentry to his advantage. Will force G2 out of their jungle, but they lose Net Toilette in the end of it.
That fight had a lot of potential there for Fnatic. I feel like there was so much potential there. What we saw was Dark Potato jumping on Techno JJ and Palmatora. They were actually able to avoid the kind of damage coming from the Termination Protocol and start outboosting their own damage. The issue was, I'm not even sure. I'm trying to, because I think their G2, the engagements are very strong. We're seeing the Gauntlet, and we're also seeing the Wait for It combination as well, which is really throwing the positioning of Fnatic off kilter. They had a kind of nice response back at kind of after that. Netflix got the three-man quibble, which was excellent, really well done. But Palmator and Techno JJ were so low that they can't really do much in these fights. And again, I think for me it comes down to defense. Dark Potato's catching them out time and time again. He's sticking to them really well. He's forcing them back away from the fight, and it's leaving Netflix to be focused on by Hundor and Keanu, which is not ideal because then they have no roamer, and he's going to walk into all three.
Another three-man quibble coming out here, taking a lot of damage though. Polite Company, gotta buy him a little bit of time. They're moving forward with the War Treads. G2 trying to get on target. They're gonna settle for Net right now. He's silenced up and he goes down. Fountain on enable. Enough to keep him alive there. Wild Oblivion did come out as well. But Fnatic just on the back foot here. This is really tough. You know what? I don't know. Maybe tell me what you think about this. It feels like if Fnatic just stood their ground, if Techno can reflex the Atlas out of Dark Potato and they can go ahead and Crucible to wait for it, well, we'll wait for that as right now. It's going to be a little bit of a precarious situation. G2 trying to go on Techno. He's able to get out of that one. Hellfire Brew is going to come out from range. But like with Net alive and in a three-man situation, if you can reflex the Atlas and then Crucible the wait for it coming through, just stand your ground. Fnatic are trying to kite back every time. Just stand your ground. You know, take advantage of this Finn because he's getting three-man quibbles. Honestly, if Techno, I think if he stands his ground, Net gets a three-man quibble like that, just blow Hundor up and then switch to Dark Potato after.
Yeah, definitely. That's positionally. They are focusing a lot on Dark Potato, who's got the Pauldrons, who's got the Aegis as well. So he's got a lot of defense against both Palmatora and Techno JJ. I just feel that they are focusing a little bit too much on Dark Potato, as you were saying, and it's allowing Hundor to build up those breaking point stacks very easily in the back line. Even though he's got a short range, it should be relatively easy for them to get onto him. But they just seem a little bit more focused on trying to get Dark
Potato's diving and then they're kiting back.
Like this.
All right, Prime Directive is going to hit Dark Potato's onto Techno. They're going to try and peel him. The Atlas did land. Actually, just landed on all three. Net trying to hold his ground right there. Going to lose Palma to start here. Techno should be going down second. They'll trade Hundor for this in a 2-for-1 here. Net last man standing as Net stays alive here, and kind of a reverse situation to our last couple of fights as Palma and Techno both go down.
One thing strikes me, and I feel War Treads for Fnatic would go a very long way, because the moment that Dark Potato engages with his Prime Directive, I want to be seeing that War Treads coming out from Nettola, either just getting Palmator and Techno JJ to safety. It's either that, or they start prioritizing better boots themselves. Like Techno JJ, he's got the travel boots. Maybe consider upgrading to Journey boots just to get that extra mobility, just to get far away in time. This is Nettola being very bold there.
He just moves in, drops a little Charm and Atlas Pauldron onto Dark Potato and negates about 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds of their work here on this Kraken. So, cheeky play out of Net, but he's going to go ahead and single-handedly cancel off that Kraken attempt.
Yeah, it was very worth it. Extremely worth it. I feel like they could have turned on him. Dark Potato has enough burst that they probably could have taken him down, but just probably did not think it was worth the risk. But we are seeing the infusions coming out, and on everyone, actually. So this would be a good fight.
Palmatoro definitely has the items right now. I mean, he has 3 offensive items. He has a level 12 infusion. If this Samuel starts to connect on the key targets, he's going to start to melt down G2. Although, I mean, even with this defense, I think the damage is going to start to stack up. We'll see if he can get some broken stacks moving forward. G2 in the left mustache brush, holding the ground. Fnatic will move in, going ahead, just forcing G2 back. Kind of reclaiming their side of the map here as they rotate around the Kraken pit right now. I feel like a one fight or a lost fight, either way you look at it, is going to spell Kraken for one of these teams, and it's going to be at least a couple turrets taken. Force to court, blocked off there. Keanu, another nice Crucible coming out of him. Now it's going to be a 60-second cooldown or so on... Oh, it doesn't even matter. Prime Directive in, coming out of Palmatora once again. Just right in the thick of things. Nintendo trying to stand his ground, but he's Atlas Pauldron, and he can't get the damage down. This is mean Palma right up front. Can't get away from this. Net is going to try and boots out of this one, but a slow-moving Finn. All he can do is stand his ground, walk back, gets the Quibble. And drop that Polite Company. Pray that the Crystal Sentry has somehow bought himself a Tyrant's Monocle and can crit. But that's not the case.
Damn, son.
This is as we said, this is the ace for G2. It's going to be a Kraken as well. How many turrets do you think they get off this?
2. I think they get 2 off this. They will get 2. For me, in that team fight, Palmatoro's positioning felt very forward. He was very caught out. You know, they focused on him. There's a point where he was able to kind of back away to safety with thanks to his Oblivion placement. But then he kind of just went into the middle of all 3 members of G2 again, and he died. The Gauntlet is really catching them out. The Gauntlet is really catching them out. Mobility is going to be a major issue. And I know that they're saying, okay, as a Samuel, you've got this great range, you've got this great mobility. You do not need that shield. You do not need defense. But when Dark Potato with that much crystal damage and that much defense against you is doing so much to you every single time, you either need to reconsider your placement where you're standing in the map, or you need to consider getting some more defense, because he's getting burst down so quickly and getting caught out that their disengagements feel a little bit sloppy.
And they do feel a little bit sloppy, but I mean, it does also feel like it's just G2 performing such a high level, so clean. Another Gauntlet coming down. They'll be able to reflexing move through that one. Quibble turnaround. This is Hunter taking a lot of damage. Oblivion's going to come out. It does put Keanu to sleep right there. They should be able to take Keanu down. Now the chase is on. Dark Potato. He's going to stand down. He's going to jump right again. This looks like a miscommunication. Dark Potato. This is going to be caught. Do not let this man walk away. What is the plan, team, here? A nice 2-man wait for it. Comes out Hundor, standing his ground. Hundor. Can he get the damage out onto Tetno? They get Tetno. They trade down Hundor on Dark Potato. 2 versus 1. Prime Directive in. Hits both. He's going to go ahead and block off the Quibble. Dark Potato going to town right now. Dark Potato. A nice body. Oh, Dark Potato gets it. Oh, the tastiest potato I've ever known. The darkest potato we have ever seen. And this is Dark Potato just making the plays. Net Toilette, along with his turret, should be able to take down the Kraken. But Dark Potato just playing games. Prime Directives in. You know what? He's going to just get Atlas Pauldron. He's going to take this turret down. What is the play, Dark Potato? Are you going to just single-handedly just take out the game? Why don't you just queue up for VG8? 3 versus 1, my sir. Dark Potato. And this is why I was singing this guy's praises earlier. He's going to end the game. GG! Go! It's time to go home, Fnatic. I love you boys, but Dark Potato just put on a show.
G2 have had some finishes in their series. That was part of that last team fight there, when we saw Fnatic turn against G2. It felt off to me. I've got to agree. The skill shots coming out from Palmator were missing. The massive verdicts were not hitting anyone, and those were very crucial misses that caused his death and left Nettola in a very unfortunate 1v1 situation against Dark Potato, who was very, very low in health. But was just able to dodge most of his attacks, because as a Finn, your basic attacks are very well projected, your skills are very well projected, and the fact that they finished that game off just felt wrong that way.
It felt wrong, but it felt so right. Dark Potato. Can't wait to see what you will accomplish as the season moves on. I mean, as the day goes on, and then maybe we'll see in the future. But to go ahead and break this one down, we do have some incredibly talented men up at the desk. So we'll go ahead and throw it back over to our analyst desk. Guys, break it down for us.
Oh man, well, G2 coming through, taking the series 2-0 off of some big plays from Dark Potato there at the end to playing that 1v1. That was pretty crazy stuff. Just giving them the jukes, staying alive. That was a lot of fun to watch. But we are going to go ahead and